Hi, I'm Jordan Belisai, and I've been LARPing at Kingdoms of Novitas since 2005, so that's 19 years now.
James Vertucci. I've been at Novitas since 2006, so 18 years. Yeah.
And I'm Richard Baldwin. Been LARPing since 2008.
So, how I started LARPing is there was a gentleman named Todd who attended my church and did our tech equipment at our church, and he told my aunt and uncle about LARP, and they went in 2004. And then right after they came back that weekend, they're like, Jordan, you gotta do this thing. It's the best thing ever, and you're coming to the next event. And that's how I started.
Nice. Well, for me, it just to get a little sad at the start. I had moved to Syracuse and I was having a really rough time. And I thought, in my head, okay, thinking about my life, I can be the person who lives like alone on a mountain, like not seeing anybody, and that would be enough, and I thought like, okay, that's contentment. But I was a little like, it didn't seem to like ring true, even though that's like what I thought. And so I went on and started like Googling stuff, LARP and in general, and then I saw a picture of a young man who was in an adventuring party, Connor, and he had curly hair. Corbin, yeah. And he just had this smile on his face. And I remember thinking, I want to be happy like he's happy.
Aww.
And so he's the reason I LARP. Because of that picture, that image, I was like, I introduced myself to you, to the game, like online, and said like, hey, I'd like to come, and they said, well, it's like February, it's a little cold, maybe it's not great for your first game. And I said, okay, and then I showed up anyway. Didn't know anybody, and I had a blast, and I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. Me? I guess? Him. I actually LARP because of Jordan, because I picked on him in school for LARPing, even though I had been bomber fighting since I was 13. And I picked on him, and he's like, how about you just come try it? Yeah. And it's gonna change your whole world. You're gonna think of it differently. And I'm like, all right. So me and my older brother went, and Jordan was correct. I have never left. So it was a really amazing experience, and it continues to be a really amazing experience.
I think for me, that the one thing that I love about Kingdoms of Novitas is everyone is pulling together, everyone's volunteering, no one's getting paid. It's really what you put into it, you get out of it, and you can try anything you want, and everyone's supportive. They're not bringing you down, they're not like, oh, I wanted to do that, or you did it wrong. They're like, they're excited, and when you eat afterwards, everyone's telling all their stories. They're like, oh, you did this cool thing, and we did this thing, and it's just felt good. And I'm like, I don't want to leave this.
Yeah.
Cool.
For me, it really hit, that Sunday, after the event, and everyone's like, standing in a circle talking about this or that, and you get to see it from like different angles and outside, and it's just a really great energy. You've been like fighting against these people all weekend and or running away from them, or trying to give other people like a great experience, and then like you kind of that's when you get to like see how it landed and like hear their stories. So it's kind of unlike anything. So it's Sunday, the Sunday after,
I think for me it was my first game in the midst of it all. I brought in the PC immediately, which is a choice.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember there was like a zombie horde, and back then there was like 30 of us if we were lucky. So a zombie horde was like 10 people. And I hid under a log outside. Everyone went and hid in cabins except for me. I was trapped outside. And I hid under a log. And I thought to myself, this is cool.
Yeah.
How freaking awesome is this? I'm just like hiding under a log and there's just a bunch of zombies waiting to eat me. Like a movie. And I ended up like sneaking out of the log and going to go kill some zombies, and then they caught me and I ran for my life. And I was like, I want to do this every weekend of my life. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was it. The first event ever. I was like, I'm going to do this every chance I can get.
I think people kind of come to Novitas like from a variety of like directions, you know, and even when you're here, it's like a lot of different things to a lot of different people. You know, some people are like really into being outside and active, but maybe don't want to just go for a hike. They would like want to like accomplish something or have goals. Sometimes you see that with like paintballers or something. So it's like paintball but without paintball guns for them. And then you have people who are like into it from like the artistry side of stuff. Like I really like making I like painting things, or I really like costume design. I like you know, watching movies and seeing you know watching award ceremonies and seeing like all these people in like different like dresses and or whatever. And then so they say like, you know, well, how can I do that? I'm not like into like theater, like how can I do that? Well, LARP, you can make tons of things at LARP, you know. If you're at it from you know, some people come at it from like a role-playing game, you know, direction, you know, like, you know, it's like you know, whatever tabletop role-playing game that you like to play, but you're getting up and you're whatever you can kind of do. You know, there's character sheets and you know, things like that. So there's like rules and structure. It's not just like make believe time, but you know, there's like a direction and stakes. You know, if you're looking for like choices that you would never be presented with in you know, our life, this is the place. You know, just like, you know, let's say D&D or you know, other things like that. It's more mental. This is like more physical and like the conversations that you have with other people. That's my try.
I think one way that I would explain it to people is, have you ever watched a movie or a show and you're like, man, they're so dumb, I would have done this. You can actually try that out, and then you realize actually they probably did the right thing. It's not as easy as I thought. And yeah, you could just try out different things. I remember one time I had a group of adventurers. I'm like, oh, there's someone tied up and a Cyclops is gonna kill him, and I'm like, come save them with me. And so they came over and they weren't saving them. So then I'm like, if I tell the Cyclops that these people are here to kill him, then maybe the Cyclops will engage. They'll kill the Cyclops. We'll free the person. Didn't end that way. Nobody liked me, and I learned, don't do that ever again.
I think this is tough for me. I always have... It's hard for me to explain to like a new person what LARP is, because it's so... I mean, like both of these guys said, it's different for every single person who comes to this game. For me, I think it was a combat experience first. I really like being physically active. I just like being, like you said, I was the guy who liked running around in the woods. And eventually it turned into more than that for me. It's acting, and you can be somebody you're not, and you don't have to like worry about things. Well, you do worry about things because we have pretty cool plots and stakes in our game that are quite high. But for me, I guess for a new person, I would say it's, you don't have to be the most physically active person to play our game, but you should be a mentally active person to play our game. It's very, it makes you think. all the time, and I think that's what I love about Novitas so much, is you're always thinking about what's happening next. Who are my friends? How can I help them? Like, how can I make this world great for not only myself, but everyone around me? So it's like an exercise in acting. And you don't have to be an actor to do that. You don't have to be the best theatrical person or the best fighter. It's come as you are and figure out who you can be. And I think that's what I would have to say about that.
A lot.
Oh, hot.
Yeah, a ton.
Yeah.
You want
Just that, you saw it at the beginning as far as like the number of people at the beginning, the LARP shed, all the props that are like part of game kind of came and went in people's cars. It's kind of a nomadic game until like, we could have like storage on site, like
almost
things
10
like
years
that.
in, I think, before storage.
Yeah. But you had like a big part to do with that, and like it's a game changer,
Like logistics was where we run all the plots out of, and all the encounters out of, and you get costumed and everything. Was out of one of the 6 cabins that we used, and then we had our inn in one of the 6 cabins as well. And we didn't have like a sink in there. We didn't have a stove in there. Like, it was really basic. And so just to think where we are now, with having like all the logistics set up, we have Wi-Fi. Like, who would ever thought Wi-Fi was even a thing back then?
Cook full meals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we've seen it change from 20 people to 8. At our most, I think we had almost 100 at our most.
Mm-hmm.
Which is,
yeah.
I would have never, ever, ever thought that when we first started. And like these guys said, the amenities that we have, like our first site that we ever did this at, we had nothing. And we end up putting a stove in a cabin, with permission obviously, putting a stove in a cabin, getting running water. We did all that. Like, we built the infrastructure for the place. Like, Novitas was just some friends in the woods, and then it became a community building things together. I think that's the biggest change I've seen over the years. I mean, it always was a community, but it really like blossomed as the years went on.
And like the influx of people who came.
Oh yeah.
So like the first time when the
Nightmare Legion?
Nightmare Legion
yeah.
came in, it was like it doubled our size. We had 14 people, and then another like 10 to 14 people came, and they were organized. They had like the same garb, they had shields, they had structures.
Kind of like a Roman unit shtick. Yeah.
And just having with the Merchants Guild, we had some people in one cabin and they would always get robbed all the time. I'm not going to mention who they were. But then they wouldn't even sell anymore because they kept getting robbed. So then the GMs had to think about, okay, let's make sure the NPCs aren't robbing them. And then a few years later, PCs built a whole Owl and Oar store, and they really had it locked down. And now we have a bazaar, which everyone sets up there. They sell things. The commerce is huge, and it's a huge part of our game now. It's just wild to just see how things have evolved.
People certainly have like flowed, in that time, and I think one of the like biggest changes that like saw to the longevity of game was like when we formalized like the marshals and working groups. So like before, it was kind of this thing where if you wanted to help out with game, you didn't really have a straight path there. The only thing anyone ever saw was like, game masters, I want to go do that, and that was it, but there's lots of things and lots of specialties that, if you want to, help game, now there's like, many different ways and groups that are like just dedicated to like that. Also, what was kind of said at the time was, what happens if the guy or girl running the whole LARP crosses the street and gets hit by a bus? Then the LARP is, if everything was like, contained in one person, then it doesn't have that longevity, right? So spreading it out, making sure that one person isn't burnt out, and it's like spread up, the load can be carried by many. I think really made it so we have a 20-year-old game.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, we've seen, well, just like you said, the marshals started quite a few years after, right? Because there was only GMs for a long time. I just ever remember those were the people you always went to. And then when the marshals were created, it like took strain off GMs so they could actually just focus on the game. Yeah. Like the story of the game, I should say. And like other duties, like dealing with broken shit or logistics, signing people in, like all that stuff got taken off their plates, and like other people took it, and it was such an amazing thing to see where people can come together and relieve others of a lot. There's a lot to do for, I don't know, a handful of guys were doing it at one point. I think that's it. So
and there's so many different types of people that have different skills. That they bring to it, and so when you come. If someone sees you doing something well, they notice that, and they're like, hey, you should jump in this group. And so you don't have to be good at everything. No. You don't have to be good at running plots. You don't have to be good at fixing things. You don't have to be good at like figuring out, does this piece of garb match with this piece of garb in this cultural background lore that we have. But it's, I mean, we've had doctors, we've had mechanics, we've had janitors, we've had teachers, nurses, like everything.
And this year we added another new marshal position, which hasn't happened in, I don't know, 10 years we haven't added a new marshal position, which was well needed. Like social media, like that's all new to our game. We had like the saddest website for years. It worked for us, like it worked for us, but it was sad. But now we got into modern times, you kind of need that to get out to everybody. You need social media to bring in new players, which, I mean, they've only been a team now for, 4 or 5 months, roughly, and we've already seen so many new people come in this year. Yeah. It's really, really cool.
Well, last game, we had like 9 people?
12 new people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And all because new marshals.
I think one other thing that's changed is what skills you could do. Like the character sheet is very different. And I just think back to right now, anyone can take skills and they can make an elven steel weapon. And you could bring that in. You could bring in a magic item. And before you found like a level 1 like shirt of disengage, you're like, oh, this is so cool. Hashtag disengage is the best spell. Just throwing it out there.
Agreed.
It is the best.
It is known. Yeah.
But the first elven steel dagger, it was this big. It was like a foot, and I think it was right when I started, 15, maybe 16, and there's this floating thing in the lake. At the first site, there's a lake, and it was just floating there. We're like, what is that? What is that out there? And then they're like, whoever swims out there to get it can have it. So of course, I take off all my clothes. Well, I leave my boxers on, and then I jump in and I'm swimming, and then I like hold it up, and then I'm trying to like swim back, and it's like this weird dagger, and I'm like, what is this? It has, we've seen silver before, but it had like black lines on it. And this is old school, so it's all duct tape, so it's even more strange looking. And I bring it back, and then, but the thing is, when you have those weapons, then you have to kill everything. So all the other people who are older than me, they're like, okay, Nai, go and kill that. And then I'll try to kill it, I'll die. And then the monster would go wipe and then heal me. They're like, okay, Nai, go kill that.
Yeah.
And it was, I learned real quick how to fight.
Oh, that's an easy answer. People. People.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, all of you that nobody can see, like every single person, I just adore them. I adore everyone at game. It's such a good experience to go see your friends. Like, how many adults can say that they have like so many lifelong friends?
Right.
Not many.
Yeah.
And it's that's why I keep coming back. Yeah.
For me, it's like I'm the type of person who can't reread a book. Like, I can't just read the same book twice. You know, I get like a little bit into it, and you know, I put it down. And I've been coming to this game for 16 years. You know, like, it's always something new. The people are new, and like new people coming in give me like new things to bounce off of. It's always I'm always reading a new book. You know, when I'm playing, and that's when I'm like in character as you know, my player, and that's when I'm an NPC. The things we've gotten to see and the stories we've gotten to tell, you know, most of which I didn't know before I showed up. You know, like what was going to happen, and then you have these like memories of a lifetime every month. You know, like it's great. You know, so that's kind of what keeps me coming back.
I definitely agree with both of you. I think those are...
Well, you should.
No, it's like, that is definitely the core that keeps me going back. But one of the other things is, sometimes before going to game, I'm like, I gotta pack, I gotta find everything, I gotta figure out what loot I have, what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to like get my mindset back in it, drive out there, and then I'm not gonna have my nice warm shower, and I'm not gonna have my instant coffee right there. Not instant coffee, but coffee that I can make with ease.
Yeah.
And then I get there and I'm like, this is the best thing in the world.
Yep.
It's $30. You get costumed, you get lodged, you get fed, and you get to try something new. And like, for my mental health, I tell everybody, I'm like, this is the one thing that keeps me sane and allows me to be productive in society, because I have these moments of reset and disconnecting from the outside world. I think so many times we can be overwhelmed with everything that's going on, but this is the one moment where I don't have to think about any of that, and I can't change any of that in that moment.
Yeah.
There's awesome research out there on like forest baths, right? Where just like taking, you know, an hour, whatever amount of time walk through the woods. And this is like a weekend, and people are chasing you. It's great. And it just, it really does reset, you know, a lot of that for me.
Yeah, I get the Friday feeling, I call it, where I'm like, I don't want to go here. I don't want to do this. I've worked all week. I'm tired. Why am I doing this? And then I get there, and that's all gone. And everything is good.
Yep.
And you're ready to go. Yeah.
Do it anyway. Yeah.
Do it anyway. And you love it.
Yeah.
And I think the really cool thing about our community is you can be gone for years, and then you come back, and everyone is so excited. Or they're like, wait, are you this person? Like, we talked about Corbin in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's like, wait, are you the one who slayed the 40,000 necromancers on the moon?
In fact, I was.
And he's like, wait, what? People are still talking about that? But they, like, everyone welcomes you, and they're not like, why weren't you here? They're like,
no.
how are you doing, man? Like, it's so great to see you, and it's so welcoming.